Jacob August Riis was born on May 3, 1949 in Ribe, Denmark. He is considered by many to be one of the most inspirational journalists and photographers of the progressive era. Jacob Riis was one of 15 children of Niels and Carolina Riis, and also considered by most of his family as very energetic and smart. At the age of 15, he moved to the capital of Denmark, where he studied to become a carpenter and learn English. He spent 6 years in the capital, which then he immigrated to the USA at the age of 21 in 1870. He was one of the many people that were coming into the US to pursue the American dream. He had with him $40 and moved into a very crowded tenement in New York City. He applied for many odd jobs but was denied or had horrible bosses that paid him too little money. He later saw an advertisement for the army, and so he tried to enlist, but was too late to do so. His bad luck would run out though, as he was later approached by a fellow colleague that noticed that he was unemployed and recommended to be a trainee at the New York News Association, and so his journey to become a journalist began. After writing articles about both rich and poor communities, he was promoted to editor at a local weekly newspaper. But not long into his job, the newspaper company went into bankruptcy, and so he decided to buy the newspaper company. After working for his newspaper company for many months and paying off his debts, he decided to return to Denmark to marry his childhood sweetheart. So he stayed in Denmark for a couple of months and decided to return to America. This time when he returned, he was offered a job at the renowned newspaper company called the New York Tribune. There he was offered as a police journalist and would see firsthand the conditions in which many immigrants lived. During the many stints he was involved in, it would normally be based in areas considered by many to be very dangerous, full of criminals, immigrants, and uncleanliness around each corner and block. When he witnessed these conditions that people were living in, he decided he wanted to make a change for the better. He would work night shifts in immigrant communities of Manhattan's Lower East Side. This created a better vision for Riis on how these immigrants lived in these communities and were really like. His actions would lead him to becoming one of the earliest reformist journalists. Although his writings described the actions of how these people lived, he still felt that it wasn't enough to show the truthful conditions that these people had to endure. So he decided to show the lives people live through photography. These photographs that Riis produced were one of the first to represent the poor settings people had to live in and greatly impacted the American people, because for the first time, everyone could see that not everything in cities were beautiful, and indeed people were struggling. To promote his vision of a change to these communities, he wrote an 18-page article called How the Other Half Lives, which appeared in the Christmas 1889 edition of the Scribner magazine and included 19 paragraphs and line drawings and demonstrated that there was 10.4% unemployment rate. This article would be the first of its kind. It was met with popularity and had many positive reviews. This article was followed by other literary works that emphasized on the poor and were considered to be important events in Riis's life. He would later die in his Massachusetts farm in 1914, but his legacy will live on forever. As he was one of the pioneers for many reformists and led to the improvement of conditions for immigrants and shined the light on how people were ignorant towards one another.